Have you ever wondered if being alone in old age could actually be the key to true freedom and happiness? Aging often forces us to confront a fundamental question: is it better to be alone, or should we seek companionship? Today we're breaking down the myths surrounding relationships in later years and uncovering why being single might be the most liberating choice you can make. By the end of this video, you'll gain a fresh perspective on love, companionship, and independence, one that could reshape your future entirely. You'll see how society's portrayal of romantic relationships might be a trap, and why embracing solitude can lead to a more fulfilling, self-discovered life. Stick with us until the end, and I promise you'll walk away with a deeper appreciation for living life on your own terms, free from societal expectations. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eye-opening insights. Now let's dive into what true freedom really looks like. Bunkars the question society ignores as we age. Many of us find ourselves asking, is it necessary to have a partner, or is solitude the better path? It's a deeply emotional and philosophical question, one that society often avoids addressing honestly. The truth is, being single in later years might just be the key to unlocking a life of true freedom and happiness. In this video, we'll explore the myths that surround aging and relationships, uncover why solitude can be a gift, and redefine what love and companionship truly mean. By the time we're done, you'll have a completely new outlook, one that empowers you to make choices based on your own desires, not societal pressure. The illusion of romantic fulfillment. Romantic love has been glorified to an almost sacred status. Society tells us that those who remain single are incomplete or unsuccessful. We're conditioned to believe that having a partner is the ultimate achievement. But take a closer look at the world around you. This belief is nothing more than a constructed illusion. The reality is that many people are trapped in relationships they no longer desire, staying out of obligation or fear of judgment. They continue pretending to be happy because admitting they might be better off alone would be seen as failure. Relationships often form out of habit rather than true desire, ingrained since childhood as just what we do. Love, or a beautiful cage. The love we are sold isn't always love. It's often a beautifully decorated cage. Initially, there's excitement, but as time passes, routine replaces passion. Many remain in unfulfilling relationships simply to avoid being labeled as lonely. But is that really love? Or is it just a way to escape facing ourselves? The harsh truth is that many relationships today aren't built on genuine connection, but on fear. Fear of being alone, fear of failure, and fear of breaking societal norms. This fear-driven dynamic turns love into an obligation rather than a source of true happiness. Arguery. The performance of love. Modern romance has become a performance, a game of ego-driven theatrics. Instead of seeking deep, authentic connections, many engage in a social competition where the winner is the one who curates the best image. Relationships often begin with exaggerated displays of charm, but when the facade fades, we wonder why things fall apart. The answer is simple. Love built on illusion cannot withstand reality. If you believe that finding love later in life will fix everything, let's be honest. Love doesn't fix anything. In many cases, it only complicates things further. We've been taught that love equals need, but if you need someone to be happy, you've already lost touch with yourself. The myth of completion society tells us we need to find our other half to be whole. But doesn't that imply we were born incomplete? This belief pressures people into relationships just to conform, not because they genuinely want or need a partner. It's the same societal force that pushes us into buying life insurance, convincing us we're failures if we don't follow the script. The irony is that many people in relationships feel lonelier than those who are single. As philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "If you are lonely when you are alone, you are in bad company." True loneliness isn't the absence of a partner, it's feeling disconnected from yourself. The prison of modern relationships. Most relationships today are built on dependency rather than love. Emotional surveillance replaces trust. If you feel the need to constantly check your partner's phone or whereabouts, you don't have a relationship, you have an emotional prison. Infidelity has become the unspoken reality of modern love. We live in a world where temptation is just a swipe away, yet we cling to the illusion of lifelong monogamy. Love built on control and obligation is not love. It's a fragile contract bound by fear. Ushered, rethinking fidelity and freedom society treats sex as a sacred vow, yet many secretly wish to break the very rules they impose on others. Forced monogamy creates tension, not love. Human desire is natural, and repressing it only leads to internal conflict. If a relationship is meant to last, it should be built on shared goals and mutual respect, not dependency. Staying together because it's expected leads to unhappiness. True love thrives in freedom, not restriction. The liberation of choosing yourself true. Freedom begins when you stop following the script that society has written for you. If this perspective makes you uncomfortable, it's likely because deep down, you sense its truth. Many people stay in relationships not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of judgment, fear of losing social status. But love shouldn't be a contract of control. It should be an agreement of respect and trust, where both partners recognize that freedom is not a threat, but an essential part of personal growth. When we embrace this, we begin to understand that relationships don't need to be rigid. They should be fluid, evolving, and free of societal constraints. A final thought. We live in a world that glorifies relationships because singlehood threatens the societal structures designed to control us. A person who walks alone is independent, free from fear, free from obligation, and free to define their own happiness. If this message resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions. Let's continue exploring the truths that society often ignores. In a society that demands conformity to traditional partnerships, the truth is that those who choose to walk alone embody the freedom to live authentically, free from the expectations others impose. For some, this freedom is more threatening than anything else. We've been conditioned to believe that being alone is a failure, something to be fixed. Society pushes the idea that life without a partner is incomplete, a project awaiting resolution. But in reality, being single is not an accident. It's a conscious choice, one that requires courage, and one that few are willing to make. Ironically, those who criticize the single life are often the ones trapped in relationships that no longer serve them. They drag these relationships like burdens, too afraid to let go. The idea that coupledom is the default is a social construct that stifles personal growth and perpetuates unhealthy dynamics. The true essence of being human is freedom, the freedom to be yourself regardless of societal pressures. Animals remind us of this. Wolves, for instance, hunt in packs but sleep alone. Lions live in groups, but their bonds are not emotionally restrictive. They thrive with a deep understanding of independence, a concept we've long neglected. Only humans have turned love into a perpetual contract, a cycle that denies the fundamental right to exist without attachment. Emma Goldman once said, "The worst kind of slavery is the one where the slave loves their chains." And this is precisely how we live today, bound by love, convinced it offers security, when deep down, we know that security is nothing but a well-crafted prison. The coupled dynamic is like a net, a web of promises that seem to offer stability, but ultimately lead to emotional instability. Even more absurd is the way society views singlehood, especially for women who are pressured to find a partner before time runs out. When someone remains single for an extended period, society pities them, as if they're missing out on something essential. What they fail to see is that the single person isn't suffering. They stand outside, observing as others drown in relationships that have long since expired, watching couples who are bitter, trapped in cycles of reproach and obligation. Sometimes, I even find comfort in watching those same couples criticize my single life, despite being bound by chains they refuse to acknowledge. The societal pressure to have a partner doesn't stem from love, it comes from fear. The single person represents a threat to the status quo. If one person can live without a partner, it forces others to question why they can't. The single person is proof that love isn't mandatory, that for some, freedom is more fulfilling than the security a partner might provide. This is an uncomfortable reality for a society obsessed with romanticism. If you're still with me and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 3 below. I'd love to know you're still watching. Being single isn't the absence of love. It's an abundance of respect for oneself. It's a conscious decision, one that doesn't involve negotiating your freedom or trading your time and body for fleeting illusions of connection. It's a refusal to enter into the circus of seduction and possession, the endless game where everyone pretends indifference while scrambling for attention. This dynamic is absurd, schizophrenic, and paranoid by nature. Choosing singleness means stepping away from that farce. It means no longer pretending to be something you're not. There's nothing to prove to anyone. The single person doesn't need to seduce anyone. They simply exist in their own space. Oscar Wilde famously said, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." If a relationship doesn't contribute to your growth and self-expansion, then it isn't love. It's an anchor. True love should complement your life, not define it. Singleness allows relationships to exist freely, without contracts, emotional debts, or the expectation of ownership. Casual relationships, based on mutual respect and honesty, are not threats to freedom. They're expressions of it. They are authentic, spontaneous, and rooted in genuine connection. That is the true purpose of love. When embraced in its purest form, singleness becomes an act of deep sincerity and honesty with oneself and the world. It's the deliberate decision to no longer deceive yourself with false promises of unattainable love. It's the powerful acceptance of the truth. Love is not about possession, control, or clinging to another person. It's about the freedom to love unconditionally, without the need for ownership. It's about experiencing life without rigid promises or expectations, knowing that true connection does not require self-sacrifice. Singleness is not a phase or temporary state. It is a destination. It's where you come to understand your worth and strength, free from the pressures of outside expectations. It is freedom, and few ever truly arrive because most become lost in relationships that should never have started. Relationships that distract them from their true selves, their growth, and well-being. At its core, being single is neither a punishment nor a flaw. It is a profound opportunity to live fully, explore who you truly are, and discover what makes you happy without the weight of imposed commitments or unrealistic expectations. Life is not about conforming to society's narrow standards or seeking approval from others. It's about taking ownership of your journey, creating your narrative, and deciding for yourself what brings you peace and fulfillment. If that path involves walking alone for a time, let it be a walk rich with freedom, self-discovery, and personal growth. Reflect for a moment on the choices you've made and the path that lies ahead. Consider the messages you've internalized about love, relationships, and your sense of worth. Remember, the true measure of your happiness is not found in the presence or absence of a partner, but in your ability to be authentic, honor yourself, and live a life aligned with your inner truth. The key isn't the status of being single or in a relationship. It's being true to yourself, finding peace within, and walking a path that nourishes your spirit. Thank you so much for joining me today. We've explored some deep and meaningful insights. Now I'd love to hear from you. What has stood out to you from today's message? Please share one thing you've learned that you'll bring into practice in your life moving forward in the comments below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a message of encouragement, guidance, and divine love. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.